So I just saw Upgrade, and for the first, I guess the first half of the movie, or first third of the movie was pretty good. And if you haven't seen it, then don't watch this video because I'm gonna put a whole bunch of spoilers. So, yeah, it sucked that his wife died, but at the end they find out that Stem has planned the whole thing. And like when he's walking around in his apartment, out of nowhere, Stem he's like, may I make a suggestion or something like that? May I point something out? So he freaks out and he's like, I must be going crazy. And Stem goes, actually, despite our minus mild PTSD, you're quite sane. He goes, shut up! And like, goes on for like a couple of minutes like that, and he goes, Stem, are you there? And nothing. Stem, you can talk again. He starts talking. He goes, now that I've answered your questions, may I point something out? So he shows him footage of his wife's murder and points some things out that can lead him to the guys. It's kind of like, where basically the guy comes and he seems like a really beneficial guy. Like, he's really helpful and kind and nice, really helps the family. And then throughout the movie, he just gets progressively worse and worse until he turns out to be a psychopathic killing machine. And it's the same thing in Stem, where Stem in the beginning of the movie, like the first 5 minutes, he's pretty much Kit, like from Knight Rider. And he's very helpful and very friendly. But as the movie goes on, he becomes more and more evil, and then he eventually takes over the guy's body. And I think his mind didn't snap as much as Stem simply put his consciousness into his subconscious. So for him to live out his days in happiness. And it kind of goes along with, I see a lot of symbolism in the movie. You see, with demon possession, demons are really helpful and really nice in the beginning when they're helping you out, but really they have their own intentions in mind. And as time goes on, they turn more, or they become more apparently evil. It gets to the point where they're just making your life hell, to the point where they just absolutely take over everything. So I think Stem is symbolically not a computer chip, but in fact a demon, and that he helps him out in the beginning and seems really friendly, but over the course of the movie he becomes more and more evil and takes away more and more of his power, of the guy's power, Gray, and eventually completely takes him over. And Gray is not in control anymore, and he's like subconsciously hidden, which is kind of like a multiple personality, but Stem is not another personality. Stem is a completely separate entity. But it just shows that Stem has access to the guy's subconscious. Or perhaps he doesn't have access to the guy's subconscious, but maybe he's just so smart he predicted it. And judging by the actions and patterns this guy has done, he can see that he doesn't have a very strong mind or very high intelligence. In the end, he basically kills a couple of people, and Stem is trying to kill the detective, and Gray is trying to stop him. So he's like aiming his gun at the detective, and he's like trying really hard to move it over. And Stem eventually, he doesn't give up. He eventually, Gray, he lifts up the gun and puts it to his head and shoots himself, and then he wakes up in the hospital, apparently in his little dream. I guess Gray, or not Gray, but Stem, he ends up, after a hospital scene, it goes back to Stem in the building with the detective, and at this point, Stem completely takes over his body, full possession, and the detective is like, Gray, you don't have to do this, and he's like, in Stem's voice, Gray's not here anymore, and she's like totally freaking out. She's like, oh boy, now I'm in deep. So he just like straight out shoots her, and it ends up pretty much ending exactly like The dude from Stranger, not Stranger, The Guest. The whole movie is pretty much The Guest rewritten for the future with the basis of technology rather than military experimentation. If my voice sounds a little hoarse right now, it's because I was running to get to the movie theater so I could get to the movie in time, and I've had a runner's cough for a few hours. So, was it a good movie? For people who like violence, it could be a good movie. For me, it was too violent. It was good enough to watch once. I might watch it again. Like, I really like Stem. Like, all throughout the movie, Stem is an interesting and good character. Not good as in ethics-wise, but good as in, like, he's a really interesting character. But, I don't think I would want to own the movie. Now, if you don't mind violence or you like it, then go ahead and watch this movie. If you like technology and violence, this movie might be perfect for you. But, basically, Stem is just like Kit in the beginning. And the movie follows the storyline of The Guest. And I'll put a link to that IMDb and the trailer in the description. It's definitely not a family-friendly movie, though. So, do I like it? I would say yes because of the technology, no because of the violence. So that's why I'd only probably watch it again like once or twice, but I wouldn't want to own it. Do I recommend it to other people? Sure. If you don't mind the violence, you like technology, go ahead. But don't have little kids watch it.